Welcome to the Mindfully Gay podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Jerry. Each week we explore the emotional, spiritual, and everyday experiences of queer men. How we connect, how we heal, and how we show up in community.
Today's conversation is all about kindness. Why something as small as a smile, a nod, or a "hey, how are you?" can feel so rare in queer spaces.
And how social media, politics, and our own anxiety can get in the way of simple human connections.
We're sharing personal experiences, stories from our work with clients, and practical ways to bring more warmth into the spaces we share.
So, settle in and let's talk about what it truly means to be kind to one another. Good morning. This is Jerry and
John.
And we're the Mindfully Gay guys.
Yes.
On the Mindfully Gay podcast.
That's us.
And looking forward to our conversation today.
Here we go.
And, we always go through this process of trying to figure out a topic. And I was looking at our list and the feedback that we've gotten from folks. And I was just telling you, sometimes I notice people will make interesting comments on our pages. And I think, gee, that wasn't a very nice thing to say. Or that was a very nice thing to say.
Right.
And it got me thinking as a therapist, especially working with people who are just trying to figure out and navigate their life as a queer person, that there's a perception and perhaps even some reinforcement that maybe we could all do better at being nicer to each other.
Amen. Amen.
And so I said, John, and you said, what? And I said, maybe we should do a session on kindness.
Just kindness. I totally agree. I think this would be a good topic to discuss. So here we go.
I have nothing to say.
And I have nothing to say. Nothing to say, but so much to say, really. Because I think it can be such a broad topic. Because I was thinking about, why is it so hard? It seems like, why is it so hard for people just to be nice, to be kind and use kind words and be pleasant and smile, and where, I don't know. I mean, you can look at the news, for example. The news today is just it's people love to watch the horror, the violence, and all of that, and that gets reinforced. And so because people watch that, we get more of that, especially on social media, right? And so I think we're just inundated with just negative feedback and violence and horror and not being kind to one another. And certainly on a local, small scale, but certainly on a larger global scale. And it's just, I mean, no wonder people are so stressed and depressed and anxious. People are just not kind out there.
Do you remember when the word gay meant happy?
It did? When?
I just feel so gay. I'm so happy. And now it doesn't feel very synonymous sometimes. And I don't know, maybe I'm in a cranky mood today. But here's one thing I've noticed. Like, I know I've been in public events where I've seen people that I've crossed paths with on social media, the apps, the gym, right? And I think Utah is peculiar. Like, I grew up in Michigan in a rural area, but when you drove down the street, when you saw people in the yard, you waved. When you saw people at the grocery store, you nodded, you acknowledged them.
Yeah.
There was some kind of social exchange that just was a pleasantry.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I left Michigan at 18, went into the military. So I've lived in Oklahoma, I've lived in Texas, Arizona, North and South Dakota.
Wow.
I mean, I've been around.
Yeah.
And everywhere I've ever lived, the pleasantries, whether it was Oklahoma City or Chadron, Nebraska, right? There was some system of pleasantry that felt neighborly.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noticed living in Utah, it's so interesting how many people, like, I'll see my neighbor at the gym and they act like they don't even know me.
Right.
Like, this is outside of just the gay context. So I sometimes wonder, is this a Utah thing? Is this a generational thing? Is this a cultural component that plays out in Utah? But then, so then I wonder when I see some of that lack of interactive engagement, like in the gay community settings, right? There seems to be that lack of pleasantry, or it's a hesitation, like, well, why are you being nice to me, kind of a thing. But then what brings people to the retreats is the sense of alienation and isolation. Yeah. And so when they show up, I notice at the retreats, at least in those small pockets, we create this circle of intimacy, if you will.
Right.
And people make the connections.
Yeah.
And so I'm confused by this topic.
It is a bit confusing, but I'm in line with you in regards to Utah being a peculiar place. I'm from California, and I think you're right. And in my roots, personal roots are California, but my parents are from the South. And so we would travel to the South. And you can imagine there's pleasantries. There's a way of greeting one another, especially, a younger person, a more mature person, a respect for elders. It's things like that. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Things like that. Just part of the culture. And I saw a little bit of that in California growing up, just regular pleasantries. And it seemed like, when I moved here, and I've been here over 30 years now, something shifted because I really did feel at one point that there were those pleasantries. There'd be just a good morning or an acknowledgement of a stranger in the grocery store, or a nod or something. Because I remember telling people are very nice here. People are genuinely nice here. And I think they are. But something seemed to have shifted.
For those of you who can't see the look on my face.
I mean, there seemed to be that, that order of pleasantries, in the neighborhood, at the store, and things like that. And even when I had to do business, like at the bank or something, or people just seemed nice, and that made me feel very comfortable in being here. But it seemed like something shifted. Maybe, I don't know, social media, COVID. I think those are big impacts in regards to how we maybe socialize with one another and maybe have those pleasantries, because I don't see them anymore. It's blank stares. It's stone-faced, that it's like they're asking you, like if you say, hey, good morning, or how are you? It's like, why are you asking me that? Okay.
Or it's
why are you talking to me?
They look at you suspiciously. It's
Yeah.
like, I didn't ask for your wallet.
Yeah. Right. And interesting, because I knew that we were going to talk about this, and I was at the gym this morning, and I was just I was in the locker room and I was changing.
For most of us, that's last night.
Okay. I was changing, and there was someone just near me at my locker, and he was doing his thing. And so I was thinking about this topic and thinking, why not I just say hello? Just say hello, John. And so I did. I said, how are you this morning? And he kind of looked and went, what? I said, how are you? Fine. And that was it. Like, well, at least I broke the ice.
I think if both of our asses are going to be hanging out in the locker room, potentially clashing against each other as we put on our underwear, the least I can say is good morning.
Yes, right? Come on.
But, my line in the gym is, so how was your workout?
Yeah.
And most of the times, it's interesting. I'll sometimes zero in on that person who looks like they're the most distant.
Mm.
And if they happen to be, I'll say, "Hey, how was your workout?" And sometimes I'm really surprised. It's almost like they're waiting for someone to talk to them.
Yeah.
But then there's always the ass.
Yeah. I think it's almost two ends of the spectrum. It's like, yeah, that person maybe they were just waiting to be talked to, or just that they couldn't break the ice and they're hoping someone else will, and you
Yeah.
do, and then, oh, hey, yeah, mine was great, and you start having a conversation. And then you seem like you get the other end of the spectrum sometimes, where it's deadpan, nothing. Sometimes I even get no response.
Well, that's what blows me away. It's like, even if there's just no inclination to want to be connective, the thing that drives me is I'm at least going to be polite.
Yes, polite. Polite.
For those of you who don't understand that word.
Polite.
It was something that was driven through my brain quite a bit growing up. Yeah, so yeah, lots of examples of these interesting dynamics.
Right.
Hopefully people listening are relating to this.
Yeah, maybe you listener you've had experiences like this, and where have they been? What have they been like?
I have lived in my neighborhood 6 years now, 7 in August. And the only neighbors we really know live directly across the street from us.
Right.
The two on either side are friendly. And they're older, so they kind of stay to themselves.
Sure.
But I mean, I will look for opportunities if they're in the yard. I'll just say, "Hey, good morning, and your flowers are looking nice, and shovel your damn sidewalk," something like that.
Yeah.
Right. But it's interesting. I've always lived in a neighborhood where I've kind of known most of the people on my street, and never in Utah. And Bruce, my husband, he's Mr. Congeniality of the neighborhood. He will not be ignored. And he's always like, "Why are you so unfriendly to people?" I'm like, I am being friendly, but they started it.
It's just, I guess the big question is, what would happen if you just responded with a polite good morning back?
Yeah.
What's the fear, or what's the obstacle that doesn't allow you to break that stone face just to say hello? Is that so hard, or is that I'm genuinely asking that question. Like, what's going on, people?
Well, and I do think there's a bit of an artificial world that's gotten in our way. I think social media. I'll give you an example. I'm listening. I'm reading Cher's memoirs.
Oh, wow!
And it's fascinating because I grew up on Sonny and Cher.
Oh, yes, me too.
And she's telling her whole story. And so I remember as a kid watching the Sonny and Cher show and them splitting up, and Cher was having, and now that I'm kind of hearing her part of the story.
Yeah. But
what's interesting is she keeps saying, well, this is before social media. This was before cell phones. This was before, she qualifies a lot of the things that she was saying and doing in the context of, here's what it looked like in the 60s. Here's what it looked like in the 70s.
Yes.
And even though the 70s and the 80s are a point of reference that I have to really think about for a moment, our phones all had cords. I remember doing the rotary phone.
Right?
And so I put that out there because I love social media and I love the apps. But what I don't love about them is, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, Bruce and I went to our insurance broker. It's that time of the year where you renew your insurance. He's going to go on Medicare. I found out yesterday that my insurance premiums will not change. So what Bruce and I pay together
Mm-hmm.
is now the cost of insurance for one of us.
Okay.
So basically, the premiums,
Yeah.
in the absence of what's gone on politically, the premiums have doubled.
Yes.
For
right.
us.
Right.
And I posted my frustration with that.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's interesting. There's like 3 or 4 people who have shown up on my page to comment on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just a comment. I appreciate dialogue across differences, but this is a dialogue. This is bombastic ugliness, kind of meant to put me in my place for the opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think social media
Mm-hmm.
in particular has kind of emboldened us
Yes.
to, like, it just, what social media shows me is how clearly inadequate we are in the processes of dialogue.
Yes, I agree.
And then if I go to the apps, right? Like if people hit me up on an app, I may or may not be interested, but I can still be courteous.
Exactly.
And I'll say good morning.
Mm-hmm.
Or if someone shoots me pictures, I may not, say I'm interested, but I'll just say, hey, looking good.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to be polite.
Exactly.
I don't think I lose anything in that.
No, absolutely
dialogue.
not.
I feel guilty if I ignore someone.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is something very interesting. It's interesting that you're, listening to Cher's memoirs, and she, because she's been around for many decades, can pretty much document as things shifted in the media format, right? And we can certainly attest to that as far as social media, cell phones, all of that, right? And so, and it's interesting with social media, even something like like a Facebook, or I guess even like TikTok or Instagram, I don't know, where I'm gonna use Facebook as the example, because it seems like people can, will kind of just type out what they're feeling and just their thoughts, and I've got so many thoughts in my head about that, but they'll type out how they're feeling, maybe a frustration or an anxiety or something. And it seems like, in my head, I would see that, oh, is that a person, maybe reaching out and needing some assistance, or some, to engage in a dialogue to help them through this situation, et cetera, et cetera. That's where my head wants to go. But it seems like, as you document or just stated, the comments can be quite mean, actually, and they come at that person and degrade them, maybe, or I don't know. It just doesn't seem nice. It seems mean to me, and then it can be this whole back and forth. And so that's actually one of the reasons, personally, why I stay away from that kind of posting on social media, particularly Facebook. If you see my Facebook page, it's just, here's my yoga classes for the week. That's what I'm posting. But I have to agree, like with the apps, as far as, the social apps, hookup apps, I'm treating that situation as if I'm actually in front of that person having a conversation. And they came up to me and said, hello,
Yeah.
good morning, or whatever it is. I'm going to respond, more likely. I try to, at least. Oh, good morning, and then engage in a dialogue. I try to see that as like I said, just imagining that if this was a real situation where we saw each other in person, this is what I would be saying to you.
It's like a virtual bar.
It really is. Rather than maybe getting ghosted or ignored and all that kind of stuff, which also can happen on those social apps as well. So it's just very interesting how I think some apps, like a Facebook, for example, have turned into places just to kind of drop an opinion and even kind of point fingers and just kind of be kind of mean, to other folks. And I think part of that is the anonymity of that, where if, let's say you didn't know me and I'm posting something and it's opposite of what you're stating in your post, but you don't know me and I don't know you. For me, as that poster of the mean comment, I feel safe because, well, they don't know me. I can say whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of that, though. There's a lot of that kind of.
I wonder what it takes. One of the things I like about what the guys are doing with Morningwood
Mm-hmm.
is they confiscate phones.
Yes.
And we've tried to set some boundaries with phones at our retreats, but there's an interesting dependency, and I know I have one, around having access to the phone, the camera, right? And my thought is how systemically we've been nurtured and socialized
Mm-hmm.
to have distance. And then when you get into, so that's like the immediate consequence. And if you back up, like what's happening, as much as we hate what's happening politically, it is an echo of what's happening socially.
Absolutely.
They're just as disconnected
Yes.
as we are.
Right.
Everyone's serving their own self-interest,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then,
let me just interrupt for a second, because
Yeah.
it seems like we're all because I have that anonymity, I'm in my own little bubble and you're in your own little bubble. And so everyone's just interacting. That's how we're kind of behaving, just in these little secular, individual bubbles that don't really intersect.
Do you know, on Tuesday, I'm part of this group. It's called One Table.
Mm.
And Bruce used to work for this woman who was a well-known caterer. She retired. And in her retirement, she's kind of created this nonprofit. And she goes into high schools and they create kind of like this dining experience. But it's intended to be an audience of incredibly diverse individuals.
Mm.
So, Latino, Black, Indian, Native American, queer. It's meant to be and so we each have tables. And so I go and I sit at the table with 10 other students from diverse backgrounds.
Got it.
And the foundation of the conversations that we're having over this very culturally ethnic, diverse meal is talking about the issues of diversity,
mm-hmm.
which is kind of a challenge.
Mm.
And and it was interesting that the students kept defaulting to the idea that, oh, everything's fine.
Mm.
And I made some comment. I said, I noticed that most of us who are Caucasian can find comfort in the idea that everything's fine, which feels like a place of privilege.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering, is that just me, or is there any truth to that?
Well,
about 5 students, but yeah, you're right. Like they heard that, and it gave them permission.
Got it.
And one of the conversation pieces that came up was the challenges of talking about diversity instead of assuming, oh, we all just have very homogenous kinds of ways of thinking, right? What's the hesitation in amplifying marginalized ideas of seeing the world? And very quickly, everyone defaulted to, oh, well, COVID did this to us, right? COVID kind of put us in our own bubbles. COVID keeps us from keeping our opinions to ourselves. And actually, it was my co-facilitator that kind of jumped on that. I'm like, oh, wow, we give COVID a lot of credit. And I noticed even in our conversation, right, it's like COVID did this to us. And I guess I want to unpack that a little bit.
Sure. Because
is COVID the reason we tend to exercise bad behavior? Is COVID the reason why, was it really that terrible?
I guess I see it as just this other little factor that reinforced this disconnect, because I think something was already happening politically in the world, in our nation, around that time as well, and then that happened, and I think it just reinforced kind of that kind of behavior as far as diversiveness and or divisiveness and disconnect and disagreeing with one another, that kind of thing. And I think we also got out of practice with being social,
Mm.
you know, in person. And so I think when we came back and could, meet at the mall together or at a restaurant or something, I think we were just a little out of practice. And with this underlying political stuff, I think, just personally, I became a little nervous about what I could speak about in public, because I didn't want to, ruffle any feathers in case someone might kind of explode or get at me or, that kind of thing. And so that was my response
Mhm.
to, certainly coming back into the social climate, having that political underlying stuff that was going on, especially racially as well, and then that impact of what COVID did to us socially. What do you think?
Mm.
Is it still putting a lot of?
Well, look, I used to challenge my students about this. I often argued, because at that time Trump had been elected,
Right.
and I said the problem isn't Trump.
No.
What Trump did is he opened the door for what was already
There,
and
yes.
gave it voice and power.
Yes.
And
I agree.
and so I kind of wonder if we do the same thing with COVID, like how we interacted with each other before the apps. I don't know was any better than with the apps, other than I think the apps kind of amplified that meanness, if you will.
Yeah.
And so
I get that.
I was thinking, I went to this event. I've been to a couple events here lately, and there's this guy that I've been talking to on Scruff. We have great conversations. We engage with each other. We banter. It's fun. It's never really like gone into like a sexual thing. It's just kind of been just like this interesting banter. And there's similarities that we share, but it's interesting when I have seen him in public, he absolutely pretends like I'm not there.
Wow.
And there's a couple of times where I've thought to approach him, and the nonverbal is so clear to not.
Wow.
And I think that's a dynamic that I see, and I hear people report back to me that they've experienced. And I think my first thought is how incredibly juvenile that sounds. Like that's something they do in high school.
Yeah, junior high. That's junior high behavior.
Usually they mature out of it by the 9th grade. And I know there's like this interesting power in cliques, right? Like, like there's people kind of find their spaces, and it almost becomes very territorial.
Right.
And I'm just making an observation. I'm not even sure how to think about that, or I'm not sure I even understand it from a social psychological lens, other than is this like delayed developmental processes and we're working through our adolescence at 30 and 40?
Yeah. I think I'm same as you. I've come at a loss. I was actually kind of about to lean in. It's like, well, what's the answer to this? What's your take on this? What's happening there?
Yeah.
But I'm kind of sitting in that same confusion box with like, what is that? Why the total standoffish attitude and acting as if you don't exist or they don't know you? It just baffles me. It really just baffles me.
And it becomes very it's disarming.
Yeah.
Because what I hear people saying frequently is they know there's a better way to respond to stuff like that, or that they could maybe be above that. And yet I have felt kind of disarmed, like, oh, wow, like, what, did I say something? I immediately start doing some inventory about, well, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And,
right.
And, and I only share that because I think it's a shared reaction. And I think part of what happens then is, if I feel like I'm at the rejected end of that, then I start to rely on stereotypical ways of understanding it. Oh, you think you're too good for me, or you know, whatever reason I don't qualify in your eyes.
Yeah.
Right. So we personalize it, and then I see. That's when they come to my office. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you.
Right. Yeah, I get caught in that loop too. If I have that kind of interaction, and I certainly have, where online we've been discussing or talking, conversing, and I see them in person, and I'm rejected, air quotes, right? That's the sense that I get. Like, what happened? It is disarming. Like, I'm confused here. What happened? And then I kind of point the fingers back at myself. Like, did I do something wrong? And kind of get into that self, negative talk. And I think what I've learned to do, but it takes a little, maneuvering. If I've got to be in the right space and time. If I can catch myself doing that sometimes and go, wait a minute, this is not about me.
Yeah.
I can kind of talk myself out of that, but it takes some doing, some mental, shifting and moving around in order to come to that conclusion. Like, wait a minute, I don't need to self-deprecate about this. This is not about me. And get out of that cycle. But some folks can't get out of that cycle, or don't know how to get out of that, negative self-talk.
Yeah.
Another thing I'll just kind of toss into the mix there, because I'm just wondering again, why does that happen? And I'm thinking, well, could this be a possible, reason this is happening? So we've been interacting online, and it's just, it's not in real life. We're just conversing. It's basically just one-on-one, but online. And then I see them in person. Is it possible that they're just an introvert? I'm an introvert. And so I may not be as likely to be the first to say, hey, how you doing? What's up? That kind of thing, unless I really know them. And wondering if, that might be a piece of the puzzle. Just, an introvert and just a little shy in public. Maybe that's a factor.
Yeah. I have to wonder, I wonder if we as a community genuinely care about each other. We get very committed to causes.
Yes.
We're going to take on marriage equality. We're going to take on HIV prevention. And we're going to take on homelessness and the youth issue. Like, we'll take on causes, and we'll be very passionate about it, which is great. I'm a social activist. But I think, do we really care about each other? Like, if I really cared about you, whether just your value as a human being, to exist on the app with me, to exist at the gym with me, to exist at the club with me, to exist in, right?
I think you're touching on something.
Yeah. Do we care?
That's a really good question. Because, yes, there certainly have been plenty of circumstances where people come together, especially in earthquakes or floods and things like 9/11, these big catastrophic kinds of things. The community pulls together, everyone comes together, and they help, and all those things. And I think that's just our humanity. I think, yes, that's who we are as a people, as a species. we are going to pull together and fight and pull each other out of the mud when someone needs help, regardless of color, gender, etc.
Mhm.
But I think you're asking a very crucial question.
Yeah.
But do you care?
Yeah.
Because if this was not happening, if this flood was not happening, would you still reach out to me and help me if I needed a hand?
I I don't mean to like toot my own horn here, but it's been very interesting. I mean, I've gone through this really great physical transformation, and suddenly now people see me,
Mm.
and I'm really conflicted about that because I think I have so much more to offer, and I want to connect with people on like various levels.
Various levels, yes.
But it's hard. It's hard to like, wow, like I remember talking to you like 5 years ago and you were just like so rude. And now you're just like, oh, I didn't know you existed kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like, really? And then I'm wondering, look, I think the Nick who used to be on a podcast with us, right, is he's a really interesting example in my mind. Like I've seen him go the extra mile to really offer assistance to people who might not otherwise be open to it or seek it because he really wants them to find something for themselves.
Right.
I've had a couple of instances even on the apps where I might be chatting with someone and they're like, oh, I've had a bad day, or my dad is in hospice and I spent all day with him, and you know, it might be this friendly sexual banter that we're having, and then when something like that drops out, I'm just like, I mean, I'm just a therapist at heart, but I was like, oh my God, how are you doing?
Exactly. Yeah.
And
right.
that, you know, or to say, wow, that must be really hard to exercise just a little bit of empathy. But what surprises me is when someone comes back and says, wow, that's so nice. Like, how nice of you to be human enough to ask. And that always kind of strikes, you know, it's interesting because whenever I do something like that, I always hesitate thinking, oh, do you think they're here looking for that? And I just think, well, I'm just gonna offer it as, you know, and I might say, do you want to get a cup of coffee? Would that be helpful? And has never happened, but people tend to be pretty like surprised.
Yeah.
And again, I think whether or not that person, whether or not there's some kind of interest, right, beyond what the apps offer, I would hope that whenever we're engaged with someone, right, the whole premise of Mindfully Gay is body, mind, spirit. And I like to have that in my mind when I'm talking to people.
Exactly.
Under whatever setting.
Whatever the setting is, whatever the circumstances. Yeah.
I wonder, I asked that caring question because then I wonder, what would it take to encourage more caring and empathy? How could we infuse that into the new cultural norm as opposed to, you know, isn't it interesting? Some of the stereotypical ways we look at gays is, right, catty, brutal, right? We find these, and we laugh at that because we know what we're talking about. But at the core of it is this absence of, do we care?
But do we care? Do we care? Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, kind of looking at, you know, what's the remedy for the unkindness that can be out there sometimes. And I think like you with the apps, like I mentioned, I try to imagine I'm actually talking to this person in real life and I want to engage and get a sense of who this person is and what's going on. So it's not just a hookup, because we may not hook up. Because even if you look at my profile on some of these apps, it's like, chat only, really, and say hi. And so people will say hi and I'll engage. And I think so that's one thing that might be a little piece, a piece of the remedy, especially with the social apps, because it's not in real life. Maybe imagine that it is. If this person was standing in front of you, would you just walk away from them? Right? They said hello and you just turned away and walked away.
Yeah.
Or you asked a question and you just turned away and walked away. Like, is that how we behave in real life?
Yeah.
and then I think another piece is to re-engage. It may be just a quick little banter back and forth, and that's it. But if I happen to see them online again, I probably will reach out again.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, how's it going? How's your day? And I get some people that I think are surprised too.
Yeah.
They're not expecting, the re-engagement, or for me to like lean in and, hey, how you really doing? Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a thing. And I think they do appreciate being listened to, air quotes. But I don't think it's what's expected, especially on an app.
I will go back if I know somebody's like downloaded something pretty heavy. If I see them a couple of days later, I'll say, hey, how did that work out with your dad?
Yeah.
And they're like,
oh.
It's like, that's kind of what life used to be like.
Right? Yeah. I'll even do little things. I'm going to give my secrets away.
Mm-hmm.
But I do this not only on the social apps, on the hookup apps, but even just in my phone and contacts. Because there's a note section. I go make notes in the note section. And, Jerry's birthday is tomorrow. He likes this, he likes that, or we had a discussion about this. And so I can use that as reference. And I'll do that on the apps as well. I'll make some notes, what their name is, especially if they're not using their real name. And if I got their real name, I'm going to put their name in the notes.
Mm-hmm.
And when we even first chatted and what we chatted about, so that I can re-engage. Because I think there's a sense of, at least for me, if I was on the receiving end of that, it's like, I think that's a demonstration of caring. It's a demonstration of being acknowledged. They acknowledged me. I was real to them.
Yeah. Do you know, in fact, I should talk to you about this later, but I've been chatting with this guy probably for like a year, just banter back and forth.
Sure.
And so I just asked him, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm getting this property ready.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, are you a real estate agent? And I knew he was a real estate agent, but I thought it was residential.
Mm-hmm.
But he does office space.
Oh, wow, cool.
And I said, where's the space at? And he told me where it was at. And I'm like, and I was serious, as you know.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, I'd really like to see this space because I've been looking to make a change.
Right.
And so we met and looked at the property. It wasn't suitable for what I needed, but like he now knows I'm in the market,
Mm-hmm.
and we've never connected or anything other than kind of at that social level.
Right.
I happened to see him at Leather Pride. Now he was polite enough and he responded back when we said hi to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm thinking there's this other guy, again, somebody who I've seen for years, and we've bantered back and forth and did like virtual teasing back and forth. And he asked me what I was doing. And I said, well, I got this chair in my office. It's so uncomfortable. I need to find like a therapeutic chair. Oh, well, I work at this furniture company. I said, really? He goes, yeah, we have and he started sending me pictures of these different kind of chairs.
Yeah.
And so at lunchtime, I went down to the store.
Right.
And he made a sale.
There you go.
And it is an excellent chair for what I need.
Wow.
And but I thought how nice it was to be able to kind of have like these other levels of connection that led to us supporting each other. And frankly, I have picked up a lot of clients. I mean, I run kind of stealth on those apps, but I'll tell people that I'm a therapist or a counselor. I tell them what I do. And they have referred so many friends to me.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so, but it's all been like a byproduct of politeness, friendliness. Some of these guys, there's probably not mutual interest like at a sexual kind of level, but there's a mutual level of relatedness in terms of friendliness and connectedness. And I think the reason I wanted to talk about this a bit is I try to be really super optimistic. I have a lot of faith in our community. I have a lot of faith in the potential and the power and the magic that we carry as a people. But sometimes I will see 5 to 7 clients in a day, mostly gay men. And the narrative is just so repetitive about people feeling discarded, dismissed, not significant, and that a lot of the reinforcement is coming with how they're experiencing other men in the community.
Yeah.
And I don't care how fucking pretty you are or how tight your ass is, right? You're just ugly when you're mean to people.
Ooh, yes.
You're just ugly.
Yeah.
And need a lot of sage. We'd be smudging the ugly away.
Smudging all that up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And frankly, some of the sexiest people I've met are those who are so comfortable in their own skin.
Absolutely.
That they elude, they expel, love and kindness and friendliness. And I would love for us to find something vogue in all that, something so. I just, because I come back, if there's been that weird interaction, I always think, wow, I wonder who beat them as a child. No,
right? Oh,
like, what's the story that motivates you to be cold, aloof, and ugly towards others? Because frankly, those of us watching you can see the pathology, whether you think you're popular or not. We can see the pathology.
We're seeing it. Yeah. But I think you're really, it's not attractive. It's ugly when you see mean people or see it online or whatever. It is not attractive. I get a sense that, there's this, a dark cloud or a sense of heaviness is in their way. It's an obstacle. It's something, whatever it is, that is the origin story for that, is not allowing them to shine in their light. And I really pray for them in a way, like I hope they're able to break through that. I hope they can break through that and really see their truth as the humans that we are. Because I think, I'm optimistic too. I think we are a species that we've demonstrated we go in and help. We help, and go for the fight. We just need to turn up that notch of the care, the empathy, and the compassion. We need to turn that volume up and just have more practice in doing that. And it can even just start with the pleasantries. Just be nice.
Yeah.
Just be nice, because it helps to break that barrier. It breaks through that darkness and the light starts to prickle through, and eventually it is broken through. That to me is humanity and who we are as a human species. I think we are a loving, kind, compassionate, empathetic species of beings on this planet. I really do.
Yeah, if I were offering advice for those that have felt kind of dismissed, two things. I've had some very beautiful people in my life, in my office. And what I can promise you is they're just as neurotic about the same inhibitions and fears and worthiness, if you will, than the rest of us are. I know we want to project the story that they have it together, and somehow I just don't. But I just haven't. Statistically, that doesn't play out very well.
Right.
But I think for those who might feel dismissed, go back to the 4 agreements by Miguel Ruiz.
Yeah.
And the second agreement is to not take things personally.
Yeah.
And I know that's hard to do if your primary agreement with yourself is that you don't feel worth it.
Exactly.
So you got to go back to the first agreement, which is integrity with yourself.
Yep.
Right.
Impeccable with your word.
Yeah. And then to not take things personally.
Yeah.
So there is a level of personal work about, okay, your narrative doesn't have to define my worth. And I'm not going to take it personally.
Yeah.
And then I think for all of us, like I'm sitting there thinking, how can I show up in a kinder way? How can I show up in a more pleasant way? I try. I wouldn't define myself as an extrovert.
Extrovert?
Yeah. Am I? It
No.
depends. Yeah, I'm kind of like more closer to the introvert.
I think if my observation of you, I think you lean more towards introvert, but you know how to be an extrovert.
Yeah.
Because of the things, you do social talks and those kinds of things.
Yeah. So I know that, like, for instance, the gym, if I just were really, truly authentic, the gym can feel very intimidating for me. There's always someone bigger, more cut, more pretty, right? There's always some kind of narrative to compare myself with. And so I tend to be a little bit more introverted at the gym. But as I'm going to the gym, because I know I'm going to see people that I'm going to recognize or know. And so I kind of prep myself to be uncomfortable and to show up as pleasantly as I can.
Yeah.
And to laugh and banter and play and I go there to work out and I wear my headphones. But like if someone walks up to me, I'll take a headphone out. I hate it when people talk to me and they have their headphones in. Take those out.
Yeah. Can you really hear me? Yeah.
But I do try to make an effort. Like if there's 2 or 3 guys changing in the same area, and everyone's just like so quiet, and I was just like, and I'll say something. I'll just break the ice. I don't care. That's where I go to my head. It's like, you know what? If they don't like me, they can go change somewhere else. And for me, I just need to kind of break the tension of being in that space.
Yeah. Because they're probably feeling it too.
Yeah. And what's interesting is how quickly people join in. There's this little guy, his name is Brian, nice little guy. And now every time we're in the locker room, we visit back and forth. How's work? How are things going? Like, I don't see him any other place because he's leaving as I'm coming in and we just have a little visit.
Exactly. Yep.
And I didn't even realize he was gay until later.
Oh,
yeah. But I guess my point is, I know I have to challenge myself and encourage myself to step out of the comfort of invisibility and step into a more visible place. And I try to find those opportunities. Like we went to Leather Pride. I've never been to a leather event in my life. The idea was intimidating.
Sure.
When I was invited to go, what I wanted to say was no. and because I knew I was intimidated by it, I thought, I'm going to go.
I'm going to go.
And I recognized I was uncomfortable. I recognized that I was probably kind of hiding behind my friends and Bruce. And then at some point I started to recognize people and they were recognizing me and we were kind of like having like these little like reunion moments. And I ended up having a really good time. But I know I had to feel
Mm.
the discomfort of uncomfortability
Mm-hmm.
until I could find my footing
Yeah.
to be at least pleasant in the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. I like that. And it's just kind of a check-in with self, knowing that I'm going to be nervous in this situation, and that's okay. Just normalize that. It's okay to be nervous in a social situation, especially if you've never been there or it's an intimidating place or whatever the case may be. Anxiety, nervousness, that is normal. So normalize that, because maybe that can start to ease the tension of it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, and I try to do the same thing. I go to the gym just about every day, and and it can be both intimidating to me, especially who I might see, or sometimes I get the sense that, or maybe I'm the one that's intimidating. And so, and part of that is just the way that I look in my face. Um, and so I have to really be mindful about this. If I see that I'm going to pass somebody in the hallway or just walking in or out, whatever the case may be, I do a quick face check, because my face kind of droops and I look kind of frowny. And or just unpleasant, I think. And so I just try to turn up the corners of my mouth a little bit, brighten my eyes a little bit, just in passing. We may not even acknowledge each other when we pass, but at least I'm putting on an air of, I'm a nice guy. And not just some grump that's walking by you, but just to give an air of, and there might be a nod, or it might be a good morning, whatever it is. I know I have to do that little check and turn up the corners of my mouth.
When I watch people in the gym and I see the look on their faces, I think, what are they listening to?
Yeah, I know.
Like Black Sabbath?
I know, right? God, they must not like what they're listening to. I can see you're on the treadmill just dancing and singing.
I am. I'm like, go. People are like, I want to listen to what you're listening to. It's
right?
Like, no, it's share. No. Yeah, I'm kind of checking in about how I feel about this podcast right now. Like, again, I always want to feel like we're laying out some tools. We're laying out some opportunities for people to kind of self-assess and make any adjustments that they might need to make. So I would say my suggestion is be willing to step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And then don't take everything personally.
I like that. That's good.
What's your wisdom?
Well, I think, like what I just described, just kind of do a quick little mental check and to normalize whatever feeling you have, especially if it's nervousness or anxiety. Normalize that, and even tell yourself, I'm okay. Even though I'm nervous, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm okay. And maybe practice some pleasantries. Say good morning. Do the nod. Passing of someone in the grocery store, on the street. It's a good start. What's the pass it forward?
Yeah.
I think we can do a lot more of that. Pass it forward. Someone does a kind deed to you, pass it forward. Or even start the process. Do a kind deed. There is a ripple effect. That's the hope and the knowing of, that's who we are really. That's who we are really. We really do want to help one another. And we are kind beings. We just need to dig it out of the hole because it got lost somewhere. I don't know. Yeah. Practice the pleasantries, pass it forward, or even be that person who starts that process. Because I know, because I'm an introvert and I may not be the person that will initiate, but if someone starts it, I can probably jump on that bandwagon. I'll even say this, because I've known some people who I just admire and I'm a little jealous of, because they're just natural networkers. I knew a woman, she's since passed away, But I worked with her in the gym. She was a personal trainer, but she was also an actress. And what I loved about her is that she was a networker. So if we'd be talking, if you're Brenda and I'm me, and we're talking, and someone comes up that she knows but I don't know, she'll say, "Oh, this is John," and just kind of go like a look, drop the resume. It's like, John does this, boom, 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 boom. You'll love this guy.
Yeah.
And I wish I could do that. I'm not very good at doing that, but I certainly admire the people who can do that so well, that networking thing.
Well, do you remember, I'm pretty sure I was standing next to you when we were at Morningwood.
Yes.
There was this guy, Michael.
Michael, yes.
And I thought, well, he's just being so friendly, and he would talk to you, and someone would walk up and goes, "Well, this is John of Mindfully King. He's a yoga instructor," and he was doing that.
That very thing. Yes.
And within 3 or 4 minutes, there's a group of like 4 or 5 guys that were now conversing with each other.
Exactly.
Because this one guy was very cleverly
just weaving it. There's people who just naturally and easily can do that. We need more of those folks out there.
Yeah.
Because they really do bring people together. And I think another thing that I think we can learn, from like Morningwood, and you mentioned it earlier, was, we're required to put our phones away. And so it does force us to, talk to one another and not rely on that crutch of the phone.
Yeah.
And I think, and I see I see this all the time, like restaurants, especially with younger people, the way that younger people seem to socialize. They'll be at a restaurant, Denny's, whatever, I don't know, and they're all on their phones. And I just don't get that. That's just me. That's just not my generation. And a parent might say to them, "Why don't you guys talk?" It's like, well, we are talking.
They're
texting.
I remember when texting first came out, I thought, how stupid. Why not just call someone?
Call up and then go out and do something.
And now I have friends who just like don't even pick up their phone.
Yeah. And so I try to practice that with my friends and try to reinforce that if we got to eat or something, the phones are put away. Engage in conversation. We say that all the time on the podcast, right? Engage in the conversation. We're doing that here. We get to do that. Jerry and I get to do that every week and share that with you, and you get to be involved in the discussion. And we invite you to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
This is how you do it. This is how you can practice the kindness, practice being polite, practice those pleasantries.
And there you have it from Miss Manners. Yeah, I don't know what else we can say. I just kind of attaching to what you had said is, I know we have the capacity.
Yes.
And now we just need to exercise the discipline. And I would like to think that most people have it in them. I know for me, well, like at that event, the diversity event we were at, there was me and this co-facilitator. And we probably, even though we're supposed to be like a good half hour into this discussion, it was like so painful to get it going because everyone was so hesitant. And the lady sitting next to me, she goes, "Would you just say something? Like I know you can get this started.
Get it going."
And it just needed permission to get aired out. And I think that's what we need in our community is more people who are willing to give themselves permission to dare to show up out of the cliches and the stereotypes and to show up more authentically in how they're willing to connect with others.
Absolutely. Love that. Love that.
So, well, this has been a lovely discussion.
I agree, and it certainly could go on and on. We may even come back to this. We may even bring on a guest, to talk about this very thing. Because I think it will come up again. Because I think it's important. It's important. Let's just be kind to one another, everybody. Can we do that, please?
Now, next week we have Max, who's our Mr. Leather here in Utah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is interesting because I had a conversation with Max,
Mhm.
which, you know, even though I'm, twice his age, I was kind of intimidated.
Ah.
And he was so incredibly pleasant.
Oh, I love that.
And I think that's another lesson, right? Is
Mhm.
I'll project whatever story,
Mm.
right? And by just diving in and be willing to have the conversation or to ask, it was just very interesting to get such an affirmative reaction.
Love that.
And so Max is going to take us into the deep, dark world of leather.
Yay, I'm excited. That should be a wonderful.
Polish your harness.
I might wear my harness. I'm a closet leather guy.
I've seen your closet.
Well, on that note,
we want to thank you for joining us today. Be nice to each other.
yes,
And join us next time.
on the Mindfully Gay podcast.
Thanks for spending this time with us today. We're really grateful you're part of this conversation.
If you've had your own experiences with kindness or the lack of it, we'd love to hear your stories. Come share them with us on Instagram at mindfully_gay and TikTok.
And don't forget to visit mindfullygay.com for upcoming free community events, gatherings, and ways to stay connected.
If this episode resonated with you, please rate and review the show so more listeners can find our content.
We'll see you next time on the Mindfully Gay podcast.